Hi everyone, I am Akshit from ENH iSecure and thank you for joining the demo session. This session is about implementing self-service access request for AD joint server by using Okta. Hope you have gone through the presentation of this integration where we have covered the prerequisites and integration flow about this. Now let's quickly move into the demo. First, we will go through the demo of the implementation so that we can have a better understanding on how it works in real time. To get started, I have picked up Berlin Smith, who is a developer and needs read-only access to the application database server. To request access, I am logging into Okta end user dashboard using Berlin's credentials. Now we are in the end user dashboard. On this dashboard, let me click on the access request tile, which launches the access request dashboard in a new tab. In this access request dashboard, since Berlin is a developer, he is able to access only developer related request tab, which is displayed on the screen. Now let me click on the request access button to raise a request. I am guided through a series of steps. First, need to specify why he or she needs access to the resources. I have entered the justification here. Then, second, need to pick up the role of choice. Let me pick up read-only role for this example, followed by number of days to access this application. I'll pick up 5 days for this. After submitting the request, the system automatically assign all necessary resources to Berlin and will revoke the access upon hitting the timer. Now let me go back to the end user dashboard. Upon refreshing the screen, I'm able to see two new applications assigned to the user, that is Okta Privileged Access and Okta Advanced Server Access. Let me launch the Okta PA, which opens in a new tab. From the menu, let me navigate to the Active Directory section and select the directory. Here I can find the read-only user account which was requested. Next, let me return to the end user dashboard and launch the Okta Advanced Server Access app, which also opens in a new tab. On the home page, user can now access the requested database server. Let me click on Connect button. This prompt for credentials. I need to go back to Okta Privileged Access and click on Show Credential to fetch the password and paste it into the password dialog box. After clicking Connect, the ScaleFT client establishes a session to the database server via the gateway. In this session, let me open the MS SQL application and connect to the Okta demo database using Windows authentication. As the session is authenticated, I am able to connect successfully to the database. Now let me execute two SQL queries. A select query which fetches the data, which is successful, then followed by an update query. Now execute the update query. This one fails because user account is entitled only with read-only permission and cannot perform DML operation. Now let me end the session by disconnecting from the server. Now let me replicate the same example from another user. For this example, I will pick up David Smith, who is a developer, part of the same team and needs database admin access. To request this access, let me log into his Okta end user dashboard using the credentials. From the dashboard, let me click on the access request tile, which launches the access request dashboard in a new tab. On this access request dashboard, since he is a developer, he is entitled to access only developer related request type. In this case, there is just one request type configured for application developer. Let me click the request access button and follow the guided steps to submit the request. First, need to specify why she needs access to the resources. I have entered the justification here. Then need to pick up the role of choice. Let me pick up the database admin role for this example, followed by number of days access to this resources. I'll pick up 5 days for this. After submitting the request, as this is a privileged request, this is sent to his manager for approval. In this case, for David Smith, his manager is Miller Joseph. Miller Joseph, who is a manager of developer team, should approve the request which was submitted by David. To approve this request, let me log into the Okta using Miller's credentials. From the dashboard, I will launch the access request tile, which opens the access request dashboard in a new tab. Let me go to the inbox section from the menu to see all the requests which are waiting for Miller's approval. Let me click on the David Smith request and we can see all the details about the requests. And he got the options to approve or deny it. Once Miller approves the request, it automatically assigns the resources to David. Upon approval from the manager, the system automatically assigns all necessary resources to David, and his access will also automatically removed once the timer expires. Let me refresh the end user dashboard, and I can see two new applications were assigned to the David. Let me launch Okta Privileged Access, which opens in a new tab. From the menu, let me navigate to the Active Directory section and select the directory. I can now see the DB admin user account which was requested. Let me return to the end user dashboard and click on the Okta Advanced Server Access app, which also opens in a new tab. On the home page, I can now access the database server. Upon clicking the connect button, the ScaleFT client establishes a session to the database server via the gateway, and the user is prompted for credentials. Let me head back to the Okta privileged access to fetch the credentials. As this is a privileged account, it is further secured with additional security measures and need to verify the access using an MFA. This takes me to another screen for MFA verification and followed by the password. Once the credentials are validated, the tab is auto closed and let the user to access the password. Let me use this password to validate the RDP session for the database server. In this session, let me open the MS SQL application. And connect to the Okta demo database using Windows authentication method. As the session is authenticated, the user can connect successfully to the database. Let me execute two SQL queries, a select query to fetch data. Now select query is successfully executed. Now we will update the query to change John Smith's salary from 40K to 45K. As we see, update query is successfully executed. To verify this, we will execute select query again to verify that the changes are present in the database. Now John Smith's salary is successfully updated in the database. All queries were successfully because this user account is entitled with database owner permissions and can perform DML operation. Now we can go ahead and end the session by disconnecting from the server. Every RTP SSH connection which goes through the ScaleFT gateway are recorded and saved on the gateway server. This ensures accountability and makes auditing easier. In this case, previously initiated sessions from Berlin and Davids are recorded and available for auditing. Now let us go through the technical configuration which was established to achieve this demo. I have logged into the Okta admin portal using super admin account. In this tenant, I have created a group called app developer, which includes all software developer. Users are added to this group automatically by group rules. Along with that, I have assigned Miller Joseph as the group owner who is the manager for all the software developers. Next, I created one more group called OPA ASA users, which is used to assign access to Okta Privileged Access and Okta Advanced Server Access applications. Additionally, I have created two more groups which are specific to project. For example, to segregate users, one group is dedicated to read-only administrators where the OPA resource name and OPA project names are specified in the group profile. And another group is dedicated to DB administrator. And the OPA resource name and OPA project name are also specified in this group profile. Next, these groups should be pushed to Okta ASA. And also we need to push these groups to Okta privileged access. Along with that, I have pushed the app developer group to Okta access request application. Now I have logged into Okta ASA using Okta admin account and let me navigate to group section. Here I can see two groups were pushed from Okta. Next, let me move on to the connection tab where I have created a connection with my Active Directory. Next, under the gateway section, I have enrolled one gateway server in this environment. Now let me navigate to project section where I have created a project called application development. In this project, I have assigned the current configured gateway and enabled traffic forwarding and session recording. Next, under groups, I have added the two groups for this project and assigned a dedicated DB server which is discovered from AD-Sync for these two groups. Same thing will be done for other group. As a final step, let me go to server section where we have added the AD discovered server, that is DB server, and app server to this project. For this demo, we will be using the DB server only. Now I have logged into Okta privileged access using Okta admin account. Moving to directory, groups, we can see two groups which are synced from Okta. Next, let me navigate to resource administration management. Here I have created a resource group named application development. Within this resource group, I have created two projects, that is database admin accounts and read-only admin accounts. Next, let me go to connections where I have enabled my Active Directory connection. By default, if you have an Active Directory integration with Okta, that will be reflected in the Active Directory connection page. Go to Resource Assignment, Active Directory. We can see the connected Active Directory instance here. For further customization, I have created two rules to fetch accounts from specific OUs and assign them to the appropriate resource group and project. And in the same fashion, I need to do it for the read-only admin rule. From the accounts section, we see two accounts which are captured from two different OUs. These accounts are now assigned to their respective projects under Application Development Resource Group. To verify this, let me go back to Management and select the application development resource group, open database admin project. Under this project, let me choose Active Directory accounts. As per the configuration, we can see the database admin account is correctly mapped. Next, navigate to settings page under schedule password rotation. As this is a shared admin account, let me enable password rotation and set the interval for this demo. Rotation is scheduled every 6 hours. We can further customize this rotation password for each time. The same configuration applies to the read-only admin account project. Next, let me go to the security administration and open the policy section. Here I have created two policies defining access to these shared accounts. The first policy is related to database admin role. Here I have attached the appropriate group and created a default rule that allows only selected accounts and require MFA to improve security and ensure only the right admins have access to the resource. Now second policy is related to read-only admin role, targets a different group, and in this rule I have selected DB read account, and this rule does not enforce any MFA. Now let me walk you through my Active Directory OU structure. In this, I have an Okta OU, which is used to store all employees, managers, and groups. Next, I have two more OUs, privileged shared database admin accounts and privileged shared DB read-only admin accounts. In each OU, I have one group and I have attached the required roles to this group. I have created accounts and added them to the respective groups to meet the necessary required permissions. Now I have logged into Okta workflows using my Okta admin account. Here in the flow section, I have created a folder named delegated flow. In this folder, I have created a delegated flow called OPA ASA user profile update. This flow is used in Okta access request to fetch the shared username and pre-populate it while accessing the assigned resource. In the access request, I will send the requester's user email and the requester resource to this flow. The flow reads the user profile and fetches the user ID, then it searches for the resource group in Okta and retrieves the group's profile details using the group ID. Once the group profile is obtained, I will then find the resource in Okta privileged access. After retrieving the resource detail, I will construct an Okta PA endpoint and use it to fetch the account names from Okta privileged access. The custom API card returns a JSON object. In the next card, I extract the list from this JSON object. After obtaining the list, I use the plug card to fetch the account names from it. Once I have the list of account names, I update these account names in the requester user profile under AD username attribute. This attribute is used in Okta ASA to pre-populate the user account names at the time of connection. Now finally, to bring all the pieces together, I have logged into Okta Access Request. Go to Settings. Let me click on Edit Connection. Here I have enabled a Run If workflow, which is early access feature for delegated workflow. Let me navigate to Resource section and move on to Okta Groups. Let me click on Manage Access. Ensure access is provided to application developer team. Then go to Workflows. This flow is auto-populated once we create a delegated workflow in Okta Workflow Console. Allow the same application developer team. Go to Configuration List. I have already created a list here which contains two options resembling the groups which were previously pushed to Okta PA and Okta ASA. Now let's look at the Teams section. Let me go to Teams and click on the Application Developer team. In this team, I have added Okta admin account for creating request types for this team. Next, I have created a request type called Access Request to Application Developer for DB Server. This request type is only available for application developer. Within this request tab, I have added three sequential questions for requesting access. First, why do you need access? This pop-ups a first barrier to request access. Second, which role do you need? This will be available only after answering the first question and got a drop-down option to select the groups or role. Let me use the configuration list which was configured earlier to resemble the Okta groups. Finally, how many days do you need access? This is displayed upon selecting the group information from the second step, and this prompts user to select the date. Once the user responds to all questions, then next step is to assign the user to OPA ASA user group, which is attached with Okta PA and Okta ASA app. Now further segregation of roles. In the next step, I will assign the user to the selected role group. Firstly, the condition is about read-only user group, that is OPA ASA App Development DB Server read-only group. Next, it will trigger a delegated workflow to update the account names in the user profile. After the user specified time, the system will automatically revoke access to the requested resource. This flow applies to the read-only role and no approval process is required. Next task is for the database admin role, which undergoes additional approval process. If the user select the database admin role, the request is sent to their respective manager for approval. In this case, application developer group owner is the manager. Upon approval, the process is like the previous flow. The user is assigned to the database admin group, and then it will trigger the delegated workflow to update the user profile with the account names. And access to the requested resource is granted and automatically revoked after the user's specified duration. Well, this concludes the session about implementing self-service access requests for AD joint servers with the help of Okta. Thank you for your attention. I hope this demo has offered valuable insight into how to implement self-service access requests for AD joint servers with Okta. Can strengthen your organization's security posture and streamline access to your servers.